80,000 Hours, that is a book and also a very influential charity that now has quite a few advisors, aims to guide you through your challenges without causing you more distress, if anything, alleviating some of the pressures that you have. And I want to say that if you want to, they will meet with you. So you can schedule for free, absolutely no obligations. Usually they require a little bit of knowledge about at least effective altruism and having some direction in your life, which is generally your case. For sure, you know about effective altruism. For sure, you've thought about your own path. So you definitely qualify for this. And they also, they try to help everybody, but I think they also focus specifically or try to prioritize people who have potential for really having an impact. And I don't think that you realize this about yourselves, but you definitely have a lot of potential for impact. You can have different paths. One is making an impact through the choice of career that you have. And another is that if you decide to go down the path of, let's say, for example, an economics career, finance and all this, you can do what 80,000 refers to as earning to give. You can choose between these two. So it's completely okay and acceptable and even applauded if you decide to go down the money path rather than the altruistic path. But you do have a choice between these two. It's a very easy read with very nice tables and figures. Some of them I'll share here with you. All of the materials that I will show you today are from them. So I've almost added nothing. I've changed a little bit here and there in order to focus you because there's just a lot of things going on over there and it's still not very well organized. But the 80,000 people, 80,000 hours people will help you through this process if you let them, or you can use some of their tools as coming from this presentation. The first thing that I think they're trying to say, which for you is definitely the case, is that you have a long life ahead of you, hopefully, at least if we look at the average lifespan of a person living in Hong Kong or growing up in Hong Kong. Your career is very, very long, but it is finite. And you can just like picture this, where you are compared to how much you have to go. So if some of you are thinking, you know, I've already committed, I know exactly what's going to happen with me, just think of just how many years you have ahead of you. And then you can think about all sorts of ways that we do split our time. Career is just a little bit of that. So we've experienced our childhood and we have all sorts of things like sleep, eating, washing, exercise, logistics. And then we have meaningful adult time, hopefully. Hobbies, friends, family, all that. Career is just a small part of this. And then we have the short term, the medium, and the long. So that is limited, but it's quite a big chunk of our time that we should consider a little bit more. So I think sometimes it helps to see these kinds of charts to understand, first of all, career is not everything. And then even in the career, we have a very long way to go. If you think, you know, maybe me, already a professor at HKU, I don't have anywhere to go. I'm, you know, maybe halfway there. So still have, nowadays, my parents are over 70 and they're still working, not because they have to. They work because they really want to. They want to be relevant. They want to keep busy. They want to be embedded in her. So nowadays, people work over 70 because they want to, because they have a choice. So there's just a long, long time for us to make use of our career. I love this one. This is terrific. It comes from waitbutwhy.com about all the different pressures that people have. And I think this really shows the internal confusion that many of us experience. And it's really nice to see this in this little octopus kind of thing, where we have the personal, the social, the moral, the practical, and things about lifestyle. And they're all pulling us in different directions. And sometimes we let them speak more than the others. And they have some really nice graphs about how they speak. So, you know, personal says, I must achieve my potential. And then the lifetime, yes, apparently you must, and it's ruining my life, narcissist. And then social is that you don't get famous by helping people. And then the moral is like you're both shockingly self-absorbed And then the practical is like, how am I going to get the next paycheck, to finish the month and pay my utilities? So I love this kind of demonstration of the things that empower us. So even in the career changes that I'm contemplating, there are some things that sometimes I'm focused on. So how much are they paying? What exactly are the terms? How is this going to lead to a certain goal that I have that sometimes feels a bit superficial? And I can't avoid these kinds of thoughts because sometimes we grew up to consider our worth as by the salary that we get paid. So did I really make the right decision moving from a business school where I can earn 3 times more, moving to psychology? Are they worth 3 times more than I am? So sometimes we get into the mindset of this octopus, the different legs, coming and empowering everything else. But it's important for at least us to keep in mind what it is that we care about and some kind of balance between these two, not to let one side overpower all the rest. We also talked a lot about cognitive biases, and I think it's very important for us to understand these cognitive biases. It took me a very long time to be able to overcome some of these. Sunk cost fallacy, saying I've already committed 3-4 years of my education at HKU to studying psychology. I wish I would go to economics, but psychology is what I've done. Therefore, I must stick with this. But sunk cost fallacy is exactly about this kind of thing. It's like, it's not how much you've invested in the past, but looking forward, what's the best path for you? And if we consider that we have all this time, then the sunk cost is just like 2 lines here, right? It's not that much, but if you change your path, you ignore the sunk cost, then you'll have all this to capitalize on that. So sunk cost fallacy really doesn't make a lot of sense. Plus, status quo bias really aligns us with the status quo. We're already there. It's already familiar. Everything is already set for us. We know exactly what it is. It's high certainty. Let's just stick with this. But sometimes it's really worthwhile for us to not stick with the status quo and shift to something else. At least try it, give it a chance. And if that doesn't work out, then return to this. Many times we also overthink and are very worried. It's like, if I'm going to make the change, I will never be able to come back. But this is often a construction of our own mind. Many people have left and came back, both with academia and in industry, moving from for-profit to non-profit to government. People shift all the time. Sometimes we focus on what's available. It's like the friends that I have, or the mother, father, family, people that I know, this is the path that is the best. Why? Because this is what we know. So this is the reason why a lot of academics, their kids are also academics. A lot of people who work in psychology, their kids are also in psychology. I'm also part of this problem. Well, we stick with what's available. Sometimes we do this because we like it. We love what it is that we saw our parents do. But sometimes it's just because we don't know what else is out there, which is what's important for you to just go and see what's available. Try different things. Talk to people that are not in your social circle to see a little bit more in order to overcome this availability heuristic. And then I think this is something that I definitely fail in, is that we react emotionally to all sorts of things. Sometimes we need our friends to hold us accountable, to calm us down and think about this rationally. So there are definitely things that are overrated. It's very nice to see in the book them explain scientifically why these are overrated. Some of you would say, no, these are the things that are really, really important. So even if you say that your focus is money and money is what you want, the question is, what is money supposed to give you in your life? If it's going to be about putting food on your table or making sure that you're healthy throughout your life, definitely money is very, very important. But generally, middle class in Hong Kong is already quite well off, and you're there. At least most of you already have that, or you will have that, having graduated from HKU. So people focus about this a lot. Is it highly paid? Is it going to be highly paid in the future? And the better question perhaps to think of is like, what do you want to do with this money in the future? So if a goal is to buy a house, then perhaps instead of saying, I want more money, say to yourself, what is it about a house that you want? And then put that as a goal. But just saying, I want more money for the sake of having more money, that is an overrated goal. Sometimes it represents something else. We'll talk a little bit about stress, but some people say, I don't want to feel stress. I really worry about stress. I need to de-stress. And that is okay. But sometimes we fear stress a little bit too much. And there's good stress and there's bad stress. Not having any stress could be a little bit boring sometimes. Having too much stress can have an impact on your well-being and your physical health. Interest match and to some extent passion. So I'll give you just an example from the book, some of the things that they have on this. So I love this diagram because I think it represents most of the people that I did my undergraduate with. So passions versus jobs. Students passionate about sports, arts, and music, close to 100%. How many occupations in arts, culture, recreation, and sports? Very close to 0. And then it's very short-lived. Sports, athletes, by the age of 40, you're done with your career. In some places, basketball, football, and all this. By the age of 25, you're already past your peak. And then the question is, what are you going to do with this? And only very few survive that kind of transition. So you can say I'm very passionate about being an Instagram influencer, but this is very short-lived and it's a very specific time in your life. Passion is something that's bigger than this. So pursuing the passion that you have right now at the age that you are, given what it is that you think that you know, is a very limited sense of what's possible for you. So passion should guide you to some extent, but it should not be the only thing that you think about. This is interesting from Google searches. How many people search for follow your passion? And it really, it grows exponentially. There's many other things that are not just passion that you can think about. In addition, passion changes, values change over time. I've changed my values many times. In every step of the way, almost every 5 years, I've changed something very fundamental about who I am. I don't know if you can recall, or it's relevant in the prospect of 20 years, what happened to you 5 years ago, but I can almost guarantee that 5 years from now, you're going to feel different about things. You're going to have different passions and to some extent have different values. Some other things in your life perhaps will come into higher priority. So we just need to recognize, and there's lots of evidence for this, that our values shift throughout life and we don't expect them to. We think people are very stable and that things don't change, but things do change. Even personality changes to some extent. Even stable traits seem to change. We make some adjustments throughout our lifetime. Definitely something to look forward to. Stuff that we've talked about regarding happiness. So starting from middle class, somewhere in between, the growth is very small. So the amount of time and effort that you put into getting the additional income is definitely not going to give you the additional boost in happiness that you think you might get from this. So thinking about money as a way to achieve happiness is not the right way to look at money. This is the stress part. So demands versus abilities. So you need to find somewhere the in between, so that you don't feel that you're bored and that you don't feel that you have too much anxiety. And there's also different kinds of stress. So there's stress of duration. So there's short-term and ongoing. If it's just short-term stress, you're stressing over a specific course, the course will end. You're stressing over the degree will end. You're stressing over something specific. It could be some circumstances that are happening around you in your family, your friends, perhaps even in Hong Kong, pandemic, things will change. But if it's something that is ongoing, then you should definitely do something about this. So don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to be stressed for long, but it's okay to have a specific point of stress. So for example, moving to a different country could be very stressful. And we could say, we don't want to do this because this is stressful. But sometimes this could be something exhilarating. And as long as it's short term, that stress is completely okay. It's not only reasonable, it's also welcome. We want to do this kind of thing because it offers something long-term. A good kind of stress on demands is if it's achievable. So it's good for us to be stressed about something that would get us to motivated to do well on this, as long as that we can achieve this. But if we keep stressing about something that we can't achieve, then there's no reason we should really try and avoid this. There's no reason for us to pursue this. So you can definitely achieve a good grade in this class. You can definitely graduate with a good grade from HKU. You can definitely find a job after graduating from HKU. So that is definitely achievable. I understand that it feels very stressful, but it will resolve itself. So you don't need to worry about that too much. Just keep in mind that this is short term and it is achievable. You can overcome this. Lots of things to consider about a fulfilling career. I prepared like an exercise for you to contemplate this. So I'll just give you the basics from the 80,000 hour book and my adjustments to it a little bit. So typically when we look at the evidence in the literature, a fulfilling career has engagement, so has autonomy, clear task, feedback, and variety, has an impact. So we want to know that we're helping people. We want to know that we're making a difference. At some point in time, just getting the monthly salary doesn't seem enough. It might be good at the beginning just to get to a certain point, but after a while, you start asking yourself, I have 50 years of this career happening at the age of 70. I will ask myself, what have I done with this job? So you would want more than just the monthly salary. You want a sense of achievement. You want to be good at your job, but you also want some potential for growth. You don't want to be stuck. At least most people, some people are comfortable with no growth, but I think most of us would seek to, after a while, to go further. A positive environment, I think, is very important, that at the very least meets your basic needs, but also offers you some support from your colleagues. You can't go for a very long time being socially isolated, and work is the place where we're surrounded by people. We want people that we can form a connection with. So even if you don't, right now, it doesn't seem like it matters, you can think after you establish yourself in your next job, 5 years from now, how would you want to maybe have more impact, or how would you like to contribute? Where would you like to go after this? So they have this nice equation here about career capital. So how do you gain skills, connection, credentials, and what kind of impact you have and supportive conditions? And they include in this personal fit. But if you can see, personal fit is a booster. So they have the multiplier. So the basic things are these things, and personal fit can just make those things a lot better. And I think this is the best equation that I found in the literature, looking at all the literature. So whenever I try to think about my next point, it's not just personal fit, because if all this is zero, then personal fit is just not going to help. So we need all these things to some balance between these two. And if there's anything that I want you to take away from this course, it is about adopting a scientist mindset. And you can apply this to your careers as well. So it's about thinking about things, even if they're uncomfortable, trying to plan as much as possible, exploring, tasting from the buffet, trying this option, and then making a plan in order to see how we can evaluate whether this fits us or not. So putting this to a scientific test. How do we know that we like this job? At what point do we decide that we don't like this job? So whenever I consider now my future path, I try to say, how will I know, at what point will I know that this is a good fit or not a good fit? So this is a very important thing. And then you can make some adjustments, putting this to the test and adjusting over time. I think this is like the core of everything that I would like you to take away from this. So the scientific mindset has to do with clarifying your decision, writing out your priorities, generating some options, ranking them, listing them. I know it sounds like a very demanding exercise. Sometimes we don't know all of this. We have a lot of uncertainty, but at least we can try a little. So we have about 20 minutes, and I thought maybe I'll give you a chance to try this out. Since most of you, I think, have laptops or something of the sort, let me show you what I prepared for this. You don't have to finish this now, but you could if you wanted to. Yeah. So if you go to this one, mgto.org/career plan, before we get to the questions, the last part, I just want to let you know that if being impactful and effective is something that you want to pursue, or at least taste a bit to see what the options are out there, as an HKU graduate who has done this kind of course, you qualify for some amazing opportunities within the effective altruism community. So within our guide, there's this point here, all the job portals and communities. You can go to the 80,000 hours job portal. I do not advocate this. It's completely up to you. I just want to let you know that this option exists. If you go on this portal, you can actually do entry level or junior, depending on how much experience you have. And you can browse through these jobs. Many of these jobs are not location-based. It's completely okay that you work from Hong Kong if there's someplace else in the world that you want to live in. Many of those are operated in the US, but they say in the ad that they're completely open for anybody from anywhere in the world. And you coming in with some knowledge of effective altruism already gives you a boost. Plus, you're from an Asian Ivy League school. So that means a lot. One of the nice things about effective altruism is that they're also very open and transparent about salaries. And the salaries that many of them give are American salaries. So if you worry about, I don't know, what you consider to be like a good opening salary in Hong Kong, but even internships, even entry-level jobs do include a salary, and they're very transparent about all that because they're effective charities and they need to explain how much they're giving to each person within the organization. So whatever it is that you, let's say you're an economist and you want to practice that, you want to do outreach, you want to work on the life sciences or the social sciences, you want to do some applied behavioral and social science, you can definitely do this if you're from engineering. So there's just a lot of these things, and you can see effective altruism is growing very, very fast. There's also some job portals on Facebook. There's other things in the EA opportunities. So there's quite a bit going on in the effective altruism. And regardless of what field you're from, economics, psychology, otherwise, you have transferable skills. You have the scientist mindset. You can apply for some of these jobs. And I do want to say, if you need a reference letter, I am happy to support you. So there is a way to approach me about reference letters. If you're applying for these kinds of jobs, I'm definitely passionate about helping you achieve those and to see what's possible. Plus, there's an effective altruism group in Hong Kong that meets every 2 weeks. Might be interesting for you to go and listen. And they also give career advice if you're into this. Looking at all this or talking about this session, anything that you want to ask or bring up? Something on your mind? Then I think this wraps up our course. And I just want to finish by saying that I really appreciate you taking this journey with me. I know it hasn't been easy. There was a lot of uncertainty, perhaps a little bit of stress along the way. At the beginning, it wasn't clear how things are going to work out. To what extent? What is this effective altruism? How is this related to psychological science? Lots of things that you needed to trust me, and I'm very glad that you did. Thanks for also coming. So as you can see, not everybody is here, but you are here, and all of your faces that I recognize, not just coming, but also engaging with me, talking to me. And this means a lot because it doesn't happen a lot at HKU that students react, communicate. So I really want to say thank you. Plus, if at any point in the future you want to talk about your career, something is happening, you need some advice or support, then don't hesitate. Please do contact me. It is my role, my obligation, and my passion to try and help you. It's the very least that I can do. It's part of what I consider to be impactful and important in this world. Okay. So thank you. Hope to see you around campus. Good luck with your studies.